Among the opportunities that were presented it yearly, it is precisely the acceleration of regional integration that is important. Okay? But how can I explain to you that, for example, a company like MSC chooses Togo as a center of operation for the region? So the port of Lome now is more important than the port of Apapa, which serves Lagos, the port of Abidjan, and other ports. How can I explain to you, for example, that regional banks choose Lome as the headquarters? You know, there are more of them than in any other city in Africa. How can I explain to you that a company like Askai, which is created to serve the sub-region, chooses Lome? What's the attraction? How can we accelerate the elements that allow this attraction to continue and result in a lot more investment? Okay? I think there are two or three reasons. The first reason is security. Togo has relied heavily on security, and if you come to Lome, people move around peacefully and safely. Secondly, it is a tradition of hospitality. Togo has always been a crossroad of trades. I was talking earlier about the free ports. I can also talk about re-exports. Indeed, 40% of the goods that arrive in Lome are exported to other countries. Thirdly, I believe that this is also a desire. Now, we spoke earlier about integration, right? With the first banks that have been set up in the country, we can see that the government knows how to listen to companies that want to establish their headquarters in Lome. The government knows how to listen to them. On the fiscal front, the administration and politics know how to adapt to the wishes of companies. And I think that the combination of these three factors largely explains the enthusiasm of companies to settle in Togo. Once you have BOAD, you have BIDC, you have EcoBank, the others follow the suit. By the way, in French language, BOAD stands for Banque West Africaine de Développement, which is the West African Development Bank. And BIDC stands for Banque d'investissement et de développement de la CEDEAO, which is the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development. Okay? So, there is an administrative framework that the government makes available to other investors who may follow. Now, how could we amplify this movement? I think one of the biggest challenges remains education. I think that a country like Togo, which is home to so many financial institutions, should have a first-class business school or a school where one can learn the banking profession. Okay? Because we have all these banks in our country. Moreover, an effort has been made regarding the labor codes, I mean the labor law. We have talked about education. In the social field too, there have been a number of gains since the implementation of the new policies. In particular, the National Development Plan envisages a package of measures in the social field that are quite intense. Togo already has the advantage of having, for those who don't know, the lowest unemployment rates in West Africa and one of the lowest in Africa. So, this is already a gain, isn't it? This should allow a certain social peace. Now, since we have been talking about stability, one can wonder about the political situation, right? Can Togo reassure investors on the issue of stability? I know that this question is more than crucial for potential investors. Okay, that gives me the opportunity to talk a bit about these social aspects and then about the political aspect. On the social side, it's true that we have a fairly low unemployment rate. We owe this to the dynamics of Togolese youth, especially Togolese women who are very active. However, these unemployment rates may hide a reality which is precariousness, because most of these people work, but they are sometimes confronted with a phenomenon of poverty. What the National Development Plan brings is precisely to reduce this precariousness by allowing them to have higher incomes. Since Togo is modernizing its agriculture and other sectors with high added value, but also by allowing them to get out of the informal sector by providing tools such as microinsurance. Because sometimes it's a little health problems that these people have. Microinsurance thus makes it possible to resolve these illness issues, but also to reduce the level of underemployment to real higher incomes and regular incomes. As for the political situation, well, it got tense in 2017, but today that phase is behind us. And the constitutional reform that had been accepted by the entire political class have been implemented. In particular, we have the voting system and term limits that are guaranteed. We have organized legislative elections at the end of June 2019. I think if we haven't heard anything, then it's going well and it's calm. And in the following year, in 2020, we had presidential elections without incident. So, I think that to talk about stability, today the political system in place is comparable to what you will find in almost all ECOWAS countries. I'm referring here to term limits and the two rounds of voting.